I was in Florida waiting for a space shuttle to launch. The air was thick, the engines were quiet. It was early in the morning. We had been waiting for a long time. There was this tension building. In fact, it's been building for a while. We had already done this, I think, at least once, if not twice before, and nothing had happened. And the engines were quiet. We just saw this shuttle just sitting there. We were a few miles away. And then the main engines ignite and the boosters roar to life, but the shuttle was still held in place. The countdown had begun, T minus 22, 20, you know how countdowns work. But when we got to 6, the shuttle came to life, but it didn't move. It just stayed there. Sometimes creating momentum in our own lives feels exactly like that. Building up force and then being held back, and then finally a breakthrough. My name is Matt Johnson, and I'm a clarity coach at flourishingoak.com. I'm also an associate marriage and family therapist, hoping to get licensed real soon here. And you can find me on Psychology Today if you would like therapy or if you want clarity coaching. You can find me in either of those avenues. Still am just mesmerized at why they would start the engine and clamp it down and not move. And I had done some research to figure out why that was all going on. Did you know the night before they begin fueling the rocket? These rockets are huge. It's many stories tall. It's like a grain silo launching up to space, and it takes several hours, like 12 hours, to fill it up. It takes overnight to do. And I think the reason they hold it down is they're getting everything ready. That there's a lot of energy to leave the atmosphere. And it starts 6 seconds. Well, it starts way back, but the ignition starts 6 seconds before they let go. And then when they let go, the shuttle looks like it's gonna fall over. You can see it, it doesn't move, and it's just, we already said lift off, but it doesn't go. It falls forward. I got scared a little bit. I thought it was gonna, oh no, and but then it hits off, and I found out later that they need that tip, the gimbal, to go so that it has the right trajectory. We watched it for a while. It seemed like a long time. It was only maybe 2 minutes before it got out of our view. And then I found out that it will be 8.5 minutes from when it left the pad before it even gets into space. And that whole journey up in there is chaotic. They're having this action. They're moving now, but it's chaotic. It feels like things are, going to break off that shuttle. In fact, I went afterwards to a simulator, and that thing is shaking around. And man, getting and building momentum, keeping it and sustaining it, that action is very violent before you get into outer space and you can begin your mission. You've arrived. Well, I want to talk about how our own life and change can be a lot like that. See, psychologists have broken down change into different categories. Pre-contemplative, that's like when we're not even thinking about it. You don't even know what a rocket is. You have no dream to go to outer space or do something different. Like you're doing you, and you're so far from the launch pad or a launch or a shuttle or anything like that. Then contemplation, right? That's when you're considering. Maybe you have some doubts, some fears. You're gathering info about yourself. Maybe you want things to change. You're trying to do something new and different. And that's kind of like, you're at the pad, you're fueling things, but it's not ignited. You're ready, but you haven't done anything. Then you get preparation. That's the planning, the making the small steps, the setting up the conditions, the final checks, right? Verifying everything. And that's before we get to the action. And that's when we have ignition, the release, the leaving the pad, the boosters fire, right? Things start to change. And then lastly, we say this maintenance or stabilization, right? There's these little things that we have to do, course corrections throughout our life. Shuttle does the same thing, right? It sheds off all the extra weight it doesn't need. It gets into orbit, and then it makes these adjustments, staying consistent, working through even, the discomfort of getting into space. And that's the same thing with our own life. We have these things called psychological resistance, these fears, uncertainties, slip-ups, right? If you're recovering from alcohol use or substance use and you have these relapse, we know that that's part of change. Or maybe, you started a project several times, or you thought about going to school but you never follow through, or you find yourself doing the same, like getting in the same rut. Maybe you can get things going for a little bit and then you fall in the same rut. So there's also external delays. I told you the night before, the day before we tried to see the space launch, it didn't go. And that happens in our own lives. We have things beyond our control. Sometimes it's just like the season of life we're in, or the family that we're with right now, or the situation that we're in, or the job that we have. And we got to kind of work through that. And sometimes we get setbacks that way. Sometimes we're just not ready. We just don't have the buy-in just yet. We have the internal doubts, like a fear of success sometimes, or doubt. Like, remember how I told you how the space shuttle looks like it's falling, but it's actually part of the process and it's moving, or that it's being held back for 6 seconds before the clamps even let it go. Maybe you feel that way in your own life. Maybe you're in a relationship or a state of mind that's setting you back, holding you back, but it's part of the process. It's part of the journey. I can think of some people in my life that have really hurt me and set me back and held me back. But as part of the process, when I look back, I was able to keep moving forward, keep that momentum going, and get past those eternal doubts and challenges. Remember, change doesn't happen all at once. You didn't get to where you are right now overnight. And the same thing with change. It's going to happen incrementally. It's going to be a process. There's so much energy and fuel and exhaustion that goes in before the shuttle even leaves the launch pad. Let me give you some encouragement. Stick with the process, right? Even when you don't see movement, even when you don't see momentum. Remember what I said, even being pre-contemplative is a stage of change. And sometimes we have to think about things for a while before we can even begin to prepare or even be open to change in our life and doing something different. And then the action, sometimes we have to try things and figure things out. Sometimes we have to fail or fall forward, or it seems like we're going to fail. We don't like what we're doing, but we know if we stay the course, life will be better. Next is be gentle with yourself. You're not going to help someone that you loathe or hate. And maybe that's where you start right now, is just knowing that you're worth it, knowing that this change is happening, you're bringing yourself along, and just be gentle with yourself. Love yourself, accept that this is going to take time and a process. Lastly, get some support. There's a lot of people that go into creating a shuttle and the launch. It's not just the astronauts, and it's not just the parts. My own dad did parts of the aluminum and part of the heat coating on the shuttle, and he had this tiny little electrical plating chemistry company in Newport Beach. Like, it takes a lot of people to make a shuttle go into outer space. And so get a team around you. And one way you could do that is by contacting me, or let me help you get a referral, or go on Psychology Today, or check out my website, Flourishing Oak, and see if a clarity coach is right for you. Get a team around you that can support you and help you. Some people find success by joining Celebrate Recovery, or like an AA group, or go to a retreat, to get revitalized, energized, or just, man, there's a board game store right down the street from where I lived in San Diego, and I saw a lot of community and therapy happening there just over card games and board games. The point is, find someone who can help you navigate this and encourage you when you feel like you're failing, when you feel like someone's holding you back, when you feel like nothing's changing. Find someone that can help you get to that next self and help you flourish. Don't just find tools or a therapist, but follow through, stick with your choice, and you'll find that flourishing life. I really appreciate you guys sticking with me to the end of the video. My name is Matt Johnson. I work at flourishingoak.com. I'm a clarity coach, also an associate marriage and family therapist. I'm glad you're here. I hope that you will have a wonderful day.